Have you ever seen a slave in Morrowind and claimed that they couldn't be freed? It turns out that with a bit of escorting, you can free those slaves. There are 165 slaves in Morrowind, and I will be freeing all those 165 slaves. I created an Excel sheet that shows the names of every slave, where each one is located, where to bring them, an indicator that marks whether or not I have freed them yet, and an index. I gave each slave an index as a way of giving me an ideal order in which I should free them. The order was based on where I would find them, the level of the enemies I would have to face in dungeons that would contain slaves, how far I would have to escort them to their designated free zone, and if they are associated with any quest. For instance, I started off with the slaves that were in or near settlements such as the Caldera Mines and Adamus Artis, since they were safer areas and easier to reach. There are only 2 rules to this run. First, I must pick up every slave bracer a freed slave drops. Think of it as evidence that I freed them. The second rule is that none of the slaves can die during the process of freeing them. If a single slave dies during the process, we must reload to a previous save. I do need to mention that this run has mods on it. These include, but not limited to, Tamriel Rebuilt, Meaner Kimono Tong, Publicans, Expansions Delayed, and Better Governing Attributes. That last mod played a significant role in this run, as it affected what skills I trained to guarantee higher increases to certain attributes. For instance, this mod made it to where unarmored and light armor were now governed by endurance, like medium armor and heavy armor are. Early in the run, I wore a piece of light, medium, and heavy armor and allowed weaker enemies such as rats, quamaforgers, and weaker hostile NPCs to attack me while standing still. This way I could grind 4 skills governed by endurance at once and speed up the process of being able to add 5 points to endurance every time I level up. By the way, I will only be focusing on the slaves that are in the base game for this challenge, so Vardenfell only. I couldn't find a wiki page on UESP that contained a list of every slave in Tamriel Rebuilt. I may one day redo this challenge, but include those in Tamriel Rebuilt. Luckily, OpenMW comes with a construction set that I can use to find each and every slave in Tamriel Rebuilt. I only ever visited the mainland once during this, and it was all because I accidentally started Sonolian Tunifis's quest to get 2 dust beetle shells. I eventually gave up on the quest because it was taking forever to obtain them. Now I shall bring up the character I will be using for this run. Plays around a lot. Due to the context of this challenge, I felt it was appropriate to play as an Argonian. This will also be the character I will be using for any Elder Scrolls videos that I may create in the future. This is mainly because an Argonian named Plays Around a Lot seems like the right person to use for challenges such as this, or kidnapping every NPC in Balmora. That was something I did back in February, no joke. Here's a screenshot of it. I'll most likely redo it because the quality of the original VOD was awful. Speaking of VODs, this run was streamed live on Twitch. More on that later. We're going to now jump straight to character creation. Here's the class I created for this run. I made Conjuration a major skill, so I would have a higher chance at successfully casting command humanoid spells. I'll be choosing the Atronax birth sign so I can have as much magicka as possible. The spell absorption effect will also help us avoid potentially dangerous spells. This whole run will be done in separate videos. This is due to technical limitations and because making this all one huge video would be way too ambitious for me, and take forever to make. This will likely end up being split into 8 videos, possibly 9. the prologue, a video dedicated to each of the 7 VODs, and a possible epilogue. I will be working on each video at my own pace, so there's not going to be any schedule for when each one gets uploaded. Before wrapping up this video, I'd like to go back to the topic of Twitch. If you want to witness me perform potential future videos live, be sure to follow me on Twitch and have notifications enabled so you're less likely to miss out. Though caution, I don't have a stream schedule and just stream whenever I feel like it. Maybe in the morning, afternoon, evening, or even the middle of the night. On the bright side, this means I don't discriminate based on time zones. With that, I think it's now time we wrap up the prologue. Stay tuned for part 1 of this run. I can't tell you when it will be uploaded, but it will.